What is going on, everyone? Welcome to a brand new movie review for you guys today, and today I'm going to be discussing Tim Burton's reimagining of Dumbo. And if you guys are new here, consider hitting that like and subscribe button right down there for all early movie reviews and any sorts of geeky content over on this channel. Plus, you guys can also go over to Samsung Films for ways to check out films early and all the latest movie news. He's been on a kick with reimagining a lot of our childhood favorite classical cartoons into live action formats. We've gotten Cinderella, Jungle Book, Beauty and the Beast, and even Maleficent. The thing with a lot of those films is that I haven't hated any of them particularly. I've enjoyed them for the most part, but I have wanted something new from these Disney live action remakes. I think what I want from these remakes is that for them to take a film that might be held as a classic or maybe something that people love but could have been better. Films like The Hunchback of Notre Dame, or even two films in particular who I think are posed to need a live-action reboot, which would be Treasure Planet and Atlantis, both cult classics in the Disney files, but two films that I think would overall get a re-energized kick and a lot of excitement behind them. Since I'm not getting those, we have Dumbo now. Tim Burton is directing this film. It stars Colin Farrell, Michael Keaton, Eva Green, and Danny DeVito. The reimagining of the 1941 classic cartoon Dumbo, which personally, I never really grew up with Dumbo. I remember watching it a couple times as a kid and really having a great time with it. And I actually just rewatched it the day before I went and saw the new remake, and I really loved it. Like, it is still a classical cartoon, and it totally cements itself as one of the best Disney films in that decade. It was a beautifully told through a silent film in a sense, because it really just focused on the animals, and it's a short film at that, but it just totally works by building up to Dumbo on how he learns to fly. Within Tim Burton's reimagining, we actually don't get the settlement and get it settled onto the animals. Dumbo and the other animals are kind of how the Transformers are treated in their movies lately. They're the afterthought. They're the second thing. The main human characters are the ones portraying and pushing the story forward, with the animals and whatnot being kind of the big flare in the background to get our attention. By no means am I comparing this to a Transformers film. This is like an Oscar-worthy picture above a Transformers film, but I'm getting a little bit disappointed after a little bit of watching the film. I was like, okay, this is how we're going with it. What I will say, going forward through the film, the first act might be a little bit of a mess, and I wasn't solely on board. When Dumbo showed up, I was like, this is cute, but I'm not really getting into the feel of this. But as the rest of the story went on, it did get better, and it's Dumbo. If I equivalent this to Dumbo, it's like Dumbo learning how to fly. Kind of builds it up, goes running, falls flat. But then all of a sudden he tries again and keeps getting stronger and stronger until he finally soars off the ground. And that's kind of how the back half of the film felt like. It got better as it went, and that's what I can acclaim this film for. It did get better as it went, and I found myself enjoying the movie as it went on. Before I get any more into my cons, let me talk about my main pros. Danny DeVito is a huge standout in this film. I love DeVito. He was perfectly casted in this film and did a wonderful job as the ringleader in here. I love what Danny DeVito did in this film. I can praise him all day long. He really embraced this film and brought the magic to life. The magic infused within him and brought much gravitas and charisma to this role and to the overall the whole film, which at times might have felt bland due to the main characters that we actually do follow. Now, we follow Colin Farrell's family. He's a war-torn hero coming back to the circus that he used to work out with his long-lost wife, who has now passed away. He has two kids to care for, and they get Dumbo into their care as well. The kids itself are fine. They're nothing like standout amazing, and Colin Farrell is an excellent actor, and he does a decent job in here. But the story that they have in here is something that I've seen before, and in a sense, something that I just couldn't grab onto. When they're around Dumbo, I'm all for it, but when it was just them focusing on their story, I never found the love about it, and I actually wish they would have focused more on Danny DeVito's character and maybe made him the central human character if they were going to focus on anyone. We get into the back half when we're finally introduced to Eva Green's character, another excellent performer in here who gives an excellent performance and really embraces the role again and embraces who her character is and kind of feels that same role that Danny DeVito had. He feels the same charisma and gravitas that he brought to the film, and again fills the world with magic as she's on screen. And that's what I just wish that Colin Farrell character would have gotten. He's a very bland and depressing character to a story that's already trying to tug at the heartstrings, and it was tugging too much at his story that it brought away from Dumbo. Now we get to Michael Michael Keaton, who, Michael Keaton's a fantastic actor. I didn't hate his character by any means. He is the villain, he's the evil person of this thing. It's very predictable how his character is going to go. He's the mustache-twirling rich man of the world, and he's very kooky and insane, and it actually felt like he signed on. He's like, oh, I'm doing a Tim Burton movie. I have to do a very kooky impression of kind of like something like the Mad Hatter from an Alice in Wonderland. Not to that extreme. Maybe I'm a little bit over-exaggerating, but it was a little bit over the top and kind of took me out of it at times. And sometimes it brought me back down when he was normal, but he really just was this typical villain. Throwing away the whole human cast aside, Dumbo is adorable. Dumbo looks great, is adorable as hell, really cute, and really just brought a big smile to my face every single time I saw Dumbo. Every single time he was flying, every single time he was on screen, brought the charm and the wonder of magic to Dumbo. Every single time he flew. Now, I might not have gotten goosebumps, but I also always had the sense of urge and on the edge of my seat wondering if he's going to be able to fly this time. And that's where this film goes to. This is a film made for kids. This is a film made for families. Families are going to go out to this film and really enjoy it. They're not going to pick apart the little things. They might have little bland moments here and there, but Dumbo is the central highlight of the whole movie. And when Dumbo's on screen, it's soaring. Like that High School Musical song, we're soaring. Flying. How I felt every single time Dumbo flew off. We get to the main central guy who is directing this film, and that is Tim Burton. Tim Burton lately has not been on my good graces. He's done fine films in the past, and he's done bad films, but he hasn't gotten to that greatness that he used to be at. Dumbo doesn't necessarily return him there. This is a pretty decently directed film, and the visual flair does feel like a Tim Burton movie. The one scene in here particularly that I can totally see why Disney hired him is the pink elephant scene, the famous pink elephant scene from the cartoon that is greatly reimagined for the live action. I loved what they did with it. I thought it was spectacular, and a lot of the moments that you do remember from the cartoon and that they brought in here are great. There's some great elements to them, and even though he does tinker and change other ones, like how Dumbo learns to fly, which particularly I wasn't the biggest fan of. I wish they actually would have led up to that more because he flies pretty early on in the film. Brings me to something that Dumbo actually surprised me on. This is a retold story. He does tackle certain elements from the classical cartoon, but overall this is a new version of Dumbo. A version that I might not be completely embracing, and it feels a little bit rushed on certain emotional beats, but it was cool to see that they didn't just end the story on Dumbo in the circus. It actually goes further into it and tackles a different layer. It actually feels like a sequel to the original Dumbo at times too, because the first act of this film is the typical Dumbo story that we know and love from the classical cartoon. Maybe not having all the emotion and love to it, but as we get into the back half, and like I said, the back half gets the film into a different particular light and builds it up to be better. That's when I was fully on board with the film. While predictable, I liked it because they actually told and ended the story and really furthered the mythology and, in a sense, the world of Dumbo that we knew and loved 70 years ago. All around makes Dumbo an enjoyable time. Again, you got kids, they're going to like this film. You got a family, you take them to the movies, you guys are going to have a fun time with it. You aren't going to walk away from this film mad by any means. This is just a good film. I think it should have been great. I don't think by any means this is ever going to be a classic film like the original Dumbo was, and Dumbo is held within our hearts, but Dumbo's adorable. He's cute. You get the magic urge of when he's flying around, and that's something, the sense of wonder that Tim Burton did bring to those elements were great. DeVito's fantastic. Eva Green is always awesome. And while the film at times does lack in the beginning, it does finally take off soaring perfectly. When I said perfectly, I don't mean the film is perfect. It's a good film. You're going to enjoy it. That's what Dumbo is. It's not one of the best live-action films that Disney's remade, and it's not one of the worst. Just an overall enjoyable reimagining of the classic story that we all know and love. So with all that said, I'm going to give Dumbo a C+. Let me know what you guys' thoughts are on Dumbo. Are you guys excited for this film? Are you not? Are you guys going to see it this weekend, or have you already seen it? Let's talk about it down below in the comments. I'm really curious to hear your guys' thoughts on this one. If you guys agree with me, if you disagree with me, did you hate it? Did you love it? Let's talk about it down below in the comments. And guys, make sure to hit that like and subscribe button so you guys don't miss out on any other content on this video. Thank you guys again so much for all the love and support. And of course, hit up Sandwich on Films for those advanced movie screenings. Guys, until next time, stay classy.